I still remember sitting in a bar when I first realized I'd been doing everything wrong. She was gorgeous, like traffic-stopping, jaw-drop beautiful, the kind of woman that turns a quiet bar into a battlefield of glances and flexed egos. And she was sitting across from me, laughing, smiling, leaning in, but I wasn't the one making her laugh. That honor belonged to the guy next to her. Slouched posture, average-looking, barely dressed up, but with this calm detachment in his eyes. He wasn't trying, he wasn't performing, he wasn't validating her with every sentence. Meanwhile, I was sitting there with all the right moves I'd been told to make. Good posture, eye contact, charm, attention. And I realized I was chasing that night rewired something in me. Because obsession doesn't come from effort, it comes from presence. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to activate that presence in a way that makes her chase you, not the other way around. The reason she isn't obsessed with you right now has nothing to do with your looks, your money, or even your words. It's your energy, specifically the frame you walk in with. You don't walk in like the man who could leave at any moment. You walk in like the guy trying to prove he should be allowed to stay. She's wired to chase certainty wrapped in mystery. And when you strip that away, when you explain yourself too much, when you text too often, when you laugh at jokes that aren't funny, when you fill silence because you're afraid of losing her, you kill the very thing that would make her obsessed. Women don't become addicted to validation. They become addicted to unpredictability inside the frame of strength. You stop narrating your thoughts. You stop trying to be understood. You let go of the urge to prove you're a good guy. And in that void, where most men collapse and overcompensate, you hold your posture. You let silence do the speaking. You watch her fidget with the discomfort of not knowing where she stands. That's where it flips. Because once you're no longer playing the court jester in her emotional palace, she starts reaching. She starts wondering. And the second a woman wonders about you, she starts investing, emotionally, mentally, even physically. She checks your story twice. She notices when you view hers. She starts conversations with little excuses like, just thought of you randomly. She creates reasons to orbit you because she doesn't feel you chasing, and that unfamiliarity drives her insane. But here's the trap. Most men can't hold that frame. They flinch. They get one breadcrumb from her and immediately break character. They flood the inbox. They send paragraph texts. They confess things she never asked to hear. And just like that, the obsession dies because now she has certainty. Now she knows you're hooked, and if you're hooked, she doesn't have to be. So the shift isn't about learning lines or tricks, it's about becoming a man who's actually okay with walking away. Not pretending, not playing hard to get, but knowing in your core that you're not available to be anyone's emotional backup plan. You're either desired or dismissed, because obsession isn't built through closeness, it's built through contrast. The space between who she thought you were and who you actually show up as. And when that space is confusing, but magnetic, that's when she starts spiraling. She'll tell herself you're dangerous, unavailable, emotionally shut off. And yet she'll keep coming back because that's what mystery does, it burns. And when she feels it, when she starts chasing it, your only job is to not fold. No explanations, no reactions, just presence. That's how the frame becomes bulletproof. The moment you start living like her, attention doesn't validate your existence is the moment you become unforgettable. Understand something brutal. Women are surrounded by orbiters every day. In her DMs, in her comments, in her phone. Every one of them trying to prove they're worthy of a shot. Most men are like background noise, harmless, predictable, forgettable. You don't become the one she dreams about by joining the choir. You become unforgettable by refusing to audition. This doesn't mean being rude, it means being rooted. You are the man who speaks slowly, moves deliberately, doesn't react to drama, and never justifies his standards. When you adopt that posture, her brain starts scanning for weakness, and it can't find one. That's where the obsession begins, because she's used to men who unravel under pressure. Men who get flustered when she pulls away. Men who compromise their time, their plans, their values just to keep her attention. But you vanish when disrespected. You don't chase, you don't plead, you disappear, not to punish, but because your life doesn't revolve around making her comfortable. And you want to know the real twist? That cold detachment feels safer to her than the needy attention she gets every day. Because your silence says more than paragraphs. It says, I don't need to control your perception of me. I already know what I am. That's how you hold the frame. She starts to recalibrate around your energy. She lowers her voice. She dresses a little differently when she sees you. She slows her words, trying to impress you instead of the other way around. Not because you demanded it, but because you broadcast calm authority without saying a word. This is what men don't understand. You don't make her obsessed by getting closer. You make her obsessed by being the rare man who doesn't chase certainty, because he is the certainty. It changes everything. Suddenly, your lack of need becomes a magnet. Every text you don't send becomes louder than the ones you do. Every second you don't validate her is a test she wants to pass. And when she realizes that chasing you doesn't guarantee a reward, but standing still guarantees being forgotten, that's when she bends. That's when you see the shift. The late-night messages, the extra selfies, the double texts. She starts becoming exactly what you once were. Anxious for approval, confused by silence, chasing a presence she can't predict. But here's the thing that separates men who win from boys who fake it. You don't break character when she breaks down. You stay still, you stay grounded, you stay silent when silence is more powerful than words. You don't reward panic, you reward respect. She'll test you, and it won't be subtle. She'll post thirst traps, talk about other guys, pull away emotionally, or pretend she doesn't care. It's not because she's over you, it's because she's watching to see if you'll crack. She's throwing sparks at your frame, trying to set it on fire. And if you respond with insecurity, with panic, with validation, you fail, the game resets, and you go back to being ordinary. But when you see the game for what it is and stay cold, calm, and still, that's when the obsession deepens. Not because she's manipulative, but because you're demonstrating the one trait that makes women spiral in their minds: emotional self-control. That's the rarest currency in male psychology. Most men are emotional kleptomaniacs, grabbing at anything that gives them a hit of validation. But you're different. You'd rather sit in silence than beg for a response. You'd rather walk away than lose your center. You'd rather be alone than be someone else's backup plan. And that's where your power multiplies. Because obsession, real obsession, doesn't come from attention, it comes from confusion. And when you combine confidence with ambiguity, women can't stop thinking about you. You're not reacting, you're not chasing, you're just there, solid, unpredictable, unshakable. She'll replay the last conversation in her mind, searching for signs. She'll wonder why you didn't double text. She'll overthink your silence, your calm replies, your lack of urgency. She'll start to question if she ever had you at all. And the moment a woman starts asking herself that, you already won, because her mind is now orbiting yours. And what do most guys do at this point? They celebrate too early. They throw out a compliment. They break the silence. They let the tension drop. And just like that, the spell breaks, the mystery is gone, the edge is dull, and her mind shifts back into safety. But when you don't break, when you stay composed even when she starts leaning in again, you reinforce your frame. You anchor yourself in something deeper than desire, you anchor in discipline. That's what she feels but can't explain. She tells her friends you're different. She calls it vibes, but it's not that. It's your ability to make her feel unstable in a world full of predictable, weak men. You don't need her to like you. You don't need her to pick you. You already picked yourself. And the deeper you sit in that truth, the more she spins. She can't read you, can't control you, can't categorize you, and that's why she can't stop thinking about you. Not because you're manipulating her, but because you're the only man who didn't need her to be whole. So she becomes obsessed, not with what you do, but with who you are when you don't do anything at all. Most men are noise. You become the signal, and that signal only gets louder the quieter you get. You don't announce your standards, you live them. You don't beg for clarity, you create it. You don't chase validation, you radiate indifference, and that indifference pulls. Not because you're pretending not to care, but because you've built a life so rich, so full, so directed, that her presence is a bonus, not a necessity. She feels that. Women are hypersensitive to value, not in terms of money or status, but in energy. And when your energy says, I'm complete with or without you, it triggers something ancient in her. Curiosity, attraction, obsession. Because most men are starving for approval, but you're fasting from it. You're not hungry for her, you're hungry for purpose. And she either aligns with it or gets left behind. That's when she starts performing. Not because you asked her to, but because she wants to prove she's worthy of the man who doesn't need her to need him. She puts more effort into her appearance. She becomes more feminine around you, softer, quieter, less combative. Not because you dominated her, but because your presence reminds her of what it feels like to be around a man who won't fold. But here's the truth that'll make 90% of guys uncomfortable and 10% dangerously powerful. Her obsession is not your end goal. Because the second you make her emotions your goal, you lose frame. You stop leading, you start reacting, and the obsession shifts back in her direction because now she's the one with the gravitational pull. You cannot orbit a woman and expect her to crave you. You stay centered. Even when she pulls closer, you don't collapse into her. You don't drop your boundaries. You don't lose your identity in her validation. You remain the storm, calm on the surface, violent underneath, but only for your mission, not for her. And the moment she feels that, truly feels that you are still unshaken even when she offers herself to you, that's when it becomes permanent. That's when her mind locks in, when she starts checking who you follow, when she double takes your stories, when she brings your name up in rooms you're not even in. You're not just a guy anymore. You're a standard, a feeling, a mystery she can't decode. And here's the part that most guys never get to, because it requires actual discipline. You have to be okay with her not understanding you. You have to be okay with not being liked all the time. You have to be okay being the villain in her story if it means staying true to your path. Because obsession doesn't come from perfection. It comes from polarity. You have to be the man she fears losing more than she fears not being liked by. So you stop being the good boy, you stop softening your edge, you stop explaining your intensity. You let her feel it. You let her sit in the silence. You let her chase, because if she's not chasing, she's forgetting.